And the best way I can kind of explain this idea that all of us in this class are, to some extent, students of beauty and wisdom, even though we may never get to it, and we have a good amount of wrong assumptions about ourselves and this thing called wisdom. The best example I can provide for you is the life of a salmon fish. And many of you probably have heard the story, but a repeat would not be a bad idea. You know, the salmon fish is very much like us. You have an egg on top of this river, and this egg, by the force of the water, gets pushed down. By the time it gets to the pond, now you have a living fish swimming around. And in the course of swimming around, what you have is this fish that starts as an egg, gets to the bottom, and now is a fish. Okay. Now, there are other fish around. Okay. So what you have is friendship with other fish. You have a home down here. You have a history down here. Everything about the life of the fish down here looks really, really good. Only one problem. At a certain point in the psychology of the salmon fish, salmon looks at, I'm not sure if salmons do this organically or they do this through the act of examination and reflection, which I very much doubt. The salmon says, I don't think I belong here. This is not my home. I don't know what I'm doing here. There is nothing wrong with my friends. There is nothing wrong with my parents. There is nothing wrong with my wife or my husband or my kids. There is nothing wrong with my job. There is nothing wrong with my society. I love every single thing that exists in my life, yet I am not happy. And salmon does something unthinkable, unimaginable. Turns around, okay, how do they do this? Turns around, if this is life and all the comforts that it provides, salmon says, no, I don't want the life of comfort anymore. I am haunted by wisdom. I want to know where wisdom is. Down here is a good life, but it's not my home. I want to go back home. Okay? And by back home, I want to be this seed. Uncontaminated, unvarnished. I want to go to the place where I first originated. So the salmon, and remember, if this is the pool of water above and this is where you've landed, salmon has to go uphill, which means that the fish has to swim against the current of the water. It means the following. If you want to be in a really, really good relationship, you'll come to realize that perhaps most of the people who walk into your life are poisonous. Okay? You're looking for a perfect companion, which means what? You have to go against media, you have to go against society, against culture, against every single person who comes your way. Why? They're not going to offer you the qualities or the things that you're looking for in a companion. Which means what? 99.9% of the world's population mean nothing to you. You're looking for that one person. The salmon becomes countercultural. No different than Malcolm X, Mahatma Gandhi, Jesus Christ, Muhammad. They go against the current of society. That's how difficult wisdom is. You can't find it in books. You can't find it by listening to other people. You can't find it in school, in church or mosque or temple. It doesn't work that way. You can be inspired, but inspiration and wisdom are two different things. Okay? Now, you may think what I just talked about, what I just said about salmon is easy. It's not. Because to walk away from a life that's comfortable, it means that you're choosing pain. You're choosing detachment. You're choosing loneliness. You're choosing despair. But this is the world that you have known for the past 10, 15, 20 years. Do you know what happens when you remove the narratives that live inside you? That you have no parents despite them being close to you. You got no sisters. You have money, but you don't care. You have school, but you feel completely ignorant. You have lots of friends, but you feel alone. It's not easy becoming a salmon fish. You have to go against everything that lives inside you. And do you know what happens when you remove the narratives, the experiences you have? You may think you're a Christian, get rid of it, see how it feels. You may feel you're in a marriage, get rid of it. Not physically, okay? Intellectually say, I have examined my faith, I have examined my marriage, they amount to nothing. Just try to live. I mean, it's called fasting. You say, I'm not going to be nourished by the Bible or the Quran. I'm not going to be nourished by my kids. I want to sit and figure out how I am being empty. How do you resolve emptiness? How can you sit in it? Okay. One of the things you need to understand is in the Greek world, they have this goddess named Chaos. And all of us in this class, I ask you, how's your life? Oh, it's chaotic. How's your room? Oh, it's chaos. Chaos has two kids. One kid is called darkness. The other kid is called confusion. Just think about that for a moment. Chaos means what? We are the sort of organisms that desire power. We want power because it allows us to organize our environment, to have power over it. Okay? When there is darkness, what exactly do you have power over? See, right now you sit comfortably and we have another 6-7 weeks left to school. Let's say it's the last day of this class. And you come to me and you say, Amir, what's my grade? I say, listen, you haven't done a single assignment. You are going to fail. Now, for 15 and a half weeks, you had light, and your light was founded on assumptions. I'm going to pass this class. I can do everything on the last day. All of a sudden, reality hits. Chaos enters. And the first thing that chaos exposes to is that you got no power. Whether you want to call it darkness or whether you want to call it confusion, it matters very little. But that's what chaos does. When you turn your back to everything that you have ever known, what in essence you're saying, I'm inviting chaos into my life. In darkness, you can't see. And if you can't see, you can't travel. Why? You're going to fall. You're going to bang your head against the wall, bang your knee against the table. When you walk in darkness, all you experience are pain, discomfort. Okay? So, when someone tells you that he or she is a philosopher, when someone tells you he or she is a student of wisdom, ask them how much chaos they have in their life. Because remember, wisdom and life, they don't mix well. Because wisdom is about honesty. Life is about politics. If you want to give that a try, some of you in this class have a job. Most often, you don't like what you do. You see your energy being sucked out of you. And for what? For a few dollars. You know that intuitively, factually. Quit. Live by your honesty and see the consequences. Okay? All the teachers and messiahs we've had who have been profoundly wise and honest, and that's what wisdom does. It makes you honest. Okay? Now, honesty expressed in a variety of different ways. Some are Malcolm X, pick up your gun. Some are like Martin Luther, passive, compassion, forgiveness. Some are like Moses. Some are like a Jesus. Some are Lao Tzu. Some are like Muhammad. Okay? Now, since this is the merchandise that all of us in this class desire, wisdom, the question is, how do you get it? So let me tell you how you get wisdom. And I'm using the wrong language when I say how you go about getting wisdom. I mean, it's like a date. You dress well, you shower, you put some perfume on, you go and meet Brad Pitt. Whether he likes you or not, it's no longer from that point up to you. You do everything to find the gates of wisdom. If you don't get accepted, you don't get accepted. Okay? It is a date. And you have no idea whether she's going to say yes or no to you. Okay? Now, how you get to wisdom is this. You gotta love it. You gotta fall in love with wisdom. Not with data, not with information, and not with knowledge. You can't mistake loving data for loving wisdom. Okay? This makes you learned. This makes you wise. And there is a world of difference. Now, loving wisdom is like loving gold. If you want to be a customer of wisdom, you can't love iron, immediate passions. You can't be in love with bronze, going to school, majoring in economics, making money. Okay, remember the salmon fish. You gotta turn your back to the stuff. It means that the next time you want to have sex, you say no. Next time you want to drink, you say no. Next time you want to smoke, you say no. Next time you want to hang out with your friends and talk about stupid things, you say no. Why? You're a seeker after wisdom, and wisdom seeks someone who can be empty, endure their own presence, even if they are empty within. And you can't be in love with your family, what we call silver, or society, or being neighborly. None of those things will work. Wisdom is jealous. Wisdom wants all of you to itself. This is a training ground. Once you graduate, you will go back to the world, like all the messiahs, Malcolm, Martin, Gandhi, Jesus, Muhammad, Confucius, Lao Tzu. Once you are cooked with wisdom, wisdom will spit you out and says, go back to society, now try to figure out what to do with people who have addictions, who have toxic emotions inside them, have greed inside them. But you're not there yet. So there is no reason for you to play the Messiah figure. Okay? But that's for very, very advanced people in advanced stages. Now, how do you make someone a lover of wisdom? Well, before you can make someone into a lover of wisdom, you have to make them a hater of life. You cannot serve two masters. You can't be in a polygamous relationship. It won't work. Okay? Now, remember, before you're able to love, I'm not talking about these puppy loves that all of us in this class get ourselves involved with once in a while, okay, and mistake it for the real thing. Okay. Now, this is the man who possesses wisdom. Let's call him Jesus. And Jesus wants to, or Socrates, wants to make you a lover of what they possess, which is wisdom. What are they going to do? They're going to speak. They're going to speak to me and they're going to speak to you. What's going to happen? You and I are going to hear them with the ears of our head. What lives inside our head? Life, experiences, social conditioning. These are the things that we are familiar with. These are the things that give us our identity, meaning, and purpose. So when you hear wisdom words, wisdom sayings from whomever, they have to be filtered through your ears. And the problem is this: everything that lives inside you is an obstacle to getting to wisdom. Anyone who sits next to me sits next to fire. I have come with a sword. I am here to create division, discord between father and son, mother and daughter. Only through me, not through life. Okay? Now, the problem before getting to be a lover of wisdom, you need to be made into a hater of life. And by hater, I mean the following. Go back to one of the most profound and important statements ever made in the world of philosophy by a man some 3,000 years ago almost. His name is Socrates. An unexamined life is not worth living. He's not talking about a specific kind of life or a branch of life. Examine all of your life and ask yourself, is there anything in it that's valuable? Let me perhaps give you a very, 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 very simple example. Life is nothing but a collection of desires that you and I pursue on a daily basis. That's what life is. Life is nothing but a collection of desires. Most of the desires come to us from the outside, the world of advertisement. And we've done this 1,000 times in this class. How do desires come about? You have 5 senses. You become attracted to something out there. That attraction inspires you, excites you. And why shouldn't it? You're sitting in this class. Look at you. You're bored. You're tired. This class is uninteresting. And you look out there, there's a hummingbird. And it's flying forward and backward. That's inspirational. And all of a sudden, you cease to listen to me. And you're enamored by this bird that can flap its wings 1,000,000 times a second. Okay? What happens with excitement and inspiration? Well, desire is born. Okay? Then you will want it. Then you will need it. Then you will go on this quest. Hopefully, maybe not, I don't know, depending on the desire, you will get it. Then you will be satisfied, and then you will be bored. You don't have to call 1-900 psychic. You don't need to read the Quran. You don't need to read the Bible to figure out how your life is going to turn out. This is it. Whatever you touch will eventually lead you to boredom. And then you have to be content. You have to be satisfied with the fact that you are bored. There is a boring relationship, for example. It is a boring class, but I need it because I need to graduate. It doesn't mean that just because you find your wife or your husband, your companion boring, you should get rid of them. But this is where everything leads. And then you have to ask yourself, what is worth pursuing? And remember, to pursue anything in life requires energy. You need food. This is the least important. You need time. And when you get older, this becomes profoundly valuable, and you don't have much of it. You need energy, and you need to be young. And these three components disappear very, very, very quickly. And what Socrates is probably asking, to examine life means examine time and how you're using it. Examine your energy and how you're using it. Examine your youthfulness and how you're using it. And then when you examine it rigorously, you say, is there anything under the sun that merits a pursuit? And when you live very much like Socrates, life under a microscope of examination, you realize something really, really interesting. Before you enter any pursuit, it doesn't mean that you won't pursue things, but before you enter into it, you know it's going to die. This class will be over. Your sexual intimacy will last probably maximum an hour, then it will be over. The great conversation you will have will last maybe for 2 hours if you're lucky. It'll be over. You will be really excited when you get your first paycheck for $10,000. Give it about a year, and the check is no longer that interesting. It's all about paying the bills now. Excitement, inspiration, they have a very, very, very short lifespan. See, when Socrates comes up and says, examine, what he's saying, if you examine a bit too much, your life will be ruined. Why are you getting married to that chick, to that guy? Why are you getting married? What? And the hard truth may be, I am lonely. I am old. I need someone to take me to Kaiser. I got kids, not because I'm a great parent. It's just something that people do. And these are hard truths that you have to embrace. Okay? Yeah.
This is no disrespect. I'm glad I did not have you. When I was younger, I had an inspiring life. So, all that together. Purpose.
Yeah, what?
Purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
That's what life is.
Right.
Regardless of all of these things.
I don't disagree with you. I think you're absolutely right.
Must accomplish the purpose, regardless of what comes along. It's a struggle. But that's your struggle.
Zoni, I don't disagree with you. You know,
I sit here and sometimes based on my age,
sure.
it's that the bleakness of it. Life is not that bleak.
Okay. You know, okay, I don't disagree with you. Again, it depends what the purpose is and who is giving it to you. Look, if Mahatma Gandhi was to walk into this room, if Malcolm X was to walk into this room, if Jesus was to walk into this room, I think there's a good chance that they're going to make my life profoundly meaningless because of who and what they are and because of who and how they want to live life. See, Malcolm is like the sun. I'm like the shade. It doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to tell you, look, I can appreciate the fact that you can take your son to Target and buy him a toy for $10. Good for you. You're a great father. But is it true that deep down you know that this is a waste of money? Absolutely. Are you wasting your money because you want to see your child smile and be happy for 10 minutes? Definitely. Does that make you a bad or a good father? It makes you a great father. But deep down you know what the story is. Does that make you bleak? No. It just means that you have access to certain truths. You want to call it bleak? Fine. Now, so for those of you who may go on this quest towards wisdom and you find yourself slowly losing appetite for life, this is normal. It is organic. Insight is like going through chemotherapy. Everything in your mouth begins to taste like metal. You will lose your taste buds. So remember, becoming baptized by fire is like going through spiritual or intellectual chemotherapy. You will not be able to enjoy anything. You'll just lay on your bed and someone else needs to take care of you. This someone else. Okay? In the Eastern tradition, Far Eastern tradition, certain parts of European tradition, they're called a teacher. We'll talk about this much later. It's not the right time right now. Let me just tell you the kind of faces and shapes that the wisdom and love usually wear or take. So, should you move towards this, do not be surprised if you begin to lose your appetite. You're going to feel really bad. You're going to feel really crappy. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be lonely. Your parents will try to categorize you. They will probably want to take you to a therapist. There is nothing wrong with any of those things. You may want to medicate yourself through drugs or alcohol or sex. It doesn't really matter. It's something like Soren Kierkegaard. About the 19th century, this guy came forth and said, I want to live like Jesus Christ. See, Abraham was given a choice. Either love God or go back and have a good time with your son. Isaac, in the Jewish tradition, or in the Muslim tradition, Ishmael. Abraham was given a choice. Which master do you want to love? God or your son, i.e. life? Abraham chose God. And Kierkegaard argued that I want to live like that. I don't want life. I don't want body. I don't want society. I want authenticity. I want passion. I want the spiritual life. He came to realize it's really, really difficult. It's too much to bear. Wisdom has been around as long as human beings have been around. So when you at the age of 18 or 19 say, I want to go towards wisdom, what you're saying is you want to carry this huge, heavy burden on the shoulder of an 18-year-old. You will bend. You will break. Okay? Now, two things can happen. Yes, Lena? Yeah, sure.
Do you really think it's a choice?
I think you always have a choice. When you say a choice, let me do it this way. You're sitting in this class. This is Lena. You can stay, you can go. It's a choice. Both of these are what they call temptations. Both of these create desires. Inside these desires, you're what they call fuel. Imagination, fantasy, hatred, anger, disgust, it doesn't really matter. You have a certain amount of fuel in the desire above, I want to leave. You have certain desire in this particular world, I want to stay. These two desires now go at each other. The one that is more intense, you can pour more fuel on the fire, wins. Eventually, you pack up your stuff, you leave. It could be a variety of different things. You know, it could be because you want the grade, so you stay. It's not because you like me or the content. You just have to stay because you want the grade. Okay? So there comes a point where you lose the ability to choose. There is also this other thing that you need to understand about choice. Let me put this on the board, Lena. I need you to choose which one you think is right. 2 plus 2 equals 4 or 2 plus 2 equals 6. Which, in your estimation, is the correct answer?
That's the natural logic.
And here's the thing. Whenever you know the right answer to anything, you don't have a choice. Choice exists only when you don't know. Choice exists only when you're confused. Should you stay in the relationship or should you leave? If I was to examine your relationship, I'd come to realize there's a good amount of confusion as to what you want in your relationship, what you want him or her to be in this relationship, how you want yourself to be in the relationship. Now choice comes in. So remember, whenever you know, choice does not exist. Now, knowledge, remember, it could be nothing but a set of assumptions. You actually don't know. You just think that you know. That just makes you a prick. It just makes you mean. Then you actually do know. And something really strange happens when you do know. We have a saying in Persian that to answer a fool is to remain silent. When you know, you just look at this person, you say, I'm just going to let him talk. Okay? For someone like Jesus, there is no choice. You can't serve two masters, end of story. With Muhammad, it's either my way or the highway. And it doesn't mean you need to change your religion from Christianity to Judaism or Islam. It just means, can you think the right way about the stuff? And all of us, myself included, we are filled with assumptions. And that's why examination is so difficult, because in assumptions, you have your history, you have your identity, you have your meaning, and you have your purpose. The moment you begin to examine this, all these things will fall apart. And then like a cup, you'll become empty. And emptiness is really, really difficult because it leads to depression. And if you're not careful, it leads to chronic depression. When we come back next week, Monday, ask me about love again, and we'll talk about it. Do you have any questions or comments before we go home? Have a nice weekend. Stay safe. Don't drink, don't smoke. Take care, you guys. Thank you.